everyone, welcome to another video for SimonsStamp.com. Today I'm starting out with some watercolor paper that I have cut to 5 inches wide by 3 3/4 tall, and I'm going to be doing some distress ink watercoloring on it to create a background for my card. So I've started with antique linen and I kind of pressed that onto my craft sheet, and then I'm bringing in frayed frayed burlap and putting that on kind of below it. That's just going to give it a little bit more color since antique linen is such a light color when you water it down. Spraying it with a mister from Ranger. It's just filled with some regular tap water. And I'm pressing my watercolor paper down into that ink. This is Simons Stamp watercolor paper, and I'm using the more smooth side as my card background here so that I can stamp on it. When you're using watercolor paper and you're going to be stamping on it, always consider using the smoother side because you're going to get a better stamped image. So I dipped it back into the ink and realized it made it a little bit too dark and a little too defined on those areas, and I wanted it to be more soft. So I just sprayed it with my water once again, and that reactivates the distress ink and softens it up. I used my heat tool to dry that, and then I moved on to the rest of the card. I have some white cardstock here. This is Nina Solar White that I've cut with a Simons Stamp circle border die, and I'm just sponging on some tumbled glass distress ink. And after I finish that piece, I'm moving on to this little tiny strip that I'm going to be coloring with Orange Soda Hero Arts Shadow Ink. I wanted a cardstock that was this exact color, and I don't have an orange that's this color, so I thought I would just press that ink pad onto the white cardstock and make my own. And this is a really great way to kind of stretch your white cardstock in all of your inks. Next, I'm using the stamp set from W+9, and this is the Kisses and Cuddles stamp set. And I kind of had to put everything on the background so I could get placement. And then I stamped this little train in some jet black archival ink. And I'm going to be watercoloring on top of this with some distress markers. So I wanted to make sure that I used an archival ink or a waterproof and permanent ink so that it wouldn't be smearing and smudging as I start watercoloring. So once I had that stamped, I went straight into the markers. First I used pumice stone and added that to the wheels. And I also put that below the train for a little bit of shading, just to make sure that it looked a little bit more grounded. I am going to be putting that circle border piece beneath the train, but I thought having a little bit more color right beneath the train under the wheels with pumice stone would be a good effect. So I'm taking my water brush. This is the Faber-Castell Deluxe water brush. It's my favorite. And I'm using the water in the brush to kind of smudge out all that distress marker. Next I use barn door and peeled paint. Just added those on. Add a little bit of temple glass. It's that blue color. Then I came in with wild honey and watercolored that out. And then very last, I brought in some black soot. And you'll see in a minute here when I add it that I added only the smallest amount. Black soot is a very strong color, so be sure to only use it in very minimal amounts because it will really spread over the large areas on your project. So I only have a small amount there, but you'll see how dark it gets once I add the water and start watercoloring out that ink. It goes pretty far. So I dried that with my heat tool and then rounded the corners with my corner chomper. This is the 1/4 inch rounder. And then I scored some Basil Marshmallow cardstock. It's my favorite white cardstock for card bases. And I scored that at 5.5 to create a side folding card. I put foam squares on the back of my watercolor piece and then adhered that to the card front. And then to adhere the circle border die piece, I used my Tombow Mono multi-glue and kind of just went around the little areas around those dots. Did one long strip across the top, and then it went down in between those circles. I did end up cutting this border down to be a little shorter, just to make it fit the card a little bit better. And then I pressed it down onto the card front beneath that train. And right after that, I started working on the little orange border piece. The baby die that's right there, that is actually from Simons Stamp as well. It's just called Baby. And this baby die goes well with another stamp set called Baby. Works out well that way. And I just stamped the welcome stamp in some of that archival jet black ink. I adhered it with a Tombow stamp runner, just put a little adhesive on the back and then directly onto the card front. And then as far as adhering that really intricate little word, I put little tiny dots of glue just kind of sporadically over the die cut. I wanted to make sure that I got that glue on the top and bottom of each kind of long area of the die. Then I used my tweezers to place that onto the card front. And to finish off the card, I took my clear Wink of Stella glitter brush and just added a little bit of shimmer over that train. This is a really subtle shimmer. It's not like bam in your face glitter. So for a baby boy card, it works. It's, I wouldn't necessarily put full on glitter on a baby boy card, but the Wink of Stella pen works for this. So that's the card. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll catch you guys next time.